use of meditation, the training of meditation in our Neigong practice, we're going to talk more specifically about posture. So posture is incredibly important in martial arts, in Qigong, and in meditation practice or Neigong practice. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that there's a non-dualistic way of thinking in Asian martial arts, Asian culture. And what I mean by that is that there's not a difference between the mind and the body. You have a mind-body, they're together. In Chinese medicine, one of the tenets is that you treat the mind to treat the body, you treat the body to treat the mind. They're not two separate entities, they're intertwined. Because of that, if your body's in disarray, your mind is in disarray. Okay, so when it comes to things like meditation training, you want to be willing to change not only your mind, but change your body. And that starts very simply with the 4 postures. So in meditation, there's 4 separate postures. There's standing, which is done a lot by Qigong practitioners, okay? Walking meditation, sitting meditation, and laying down meditation. And the big things there, of course, is that this is coming from Buddha's teachings, is that he's just saying you can meditate all the time. There's kind of no excuse. But in order to get things out of your way, including your body, so that you can work on yourself internally, the better your posture, the longer you'll be able to sit and practice without the body itself bothering you. So what that means is basic posture training is necessary. Doesn't matter which posture you take. So standing tall like the monkey. Now, standing tall like the monkey is referred to as different things in different martial arts and different practices. It's sometimes referred to as the Tai Chi Gun, like the rod of Tai Chi or staff of Tai Chi, the iron bar in the back. I've had a teacher call it standing tall like the monkey, of course. And the idea here is that the spinal posture becomes very straight. Okay, so the things to remember are Bai Hui, which is the very top of the head, the crown at the top of the head, needs to be straight up and down. Okay, and it's like that's being suspended from above. So you've heard this in Tai Chi training and such. What that means is that I'm trying to put my spine into traction at the top. So I'm kind of reaching through the top of my head as though it was a fixed space, like I'm pushing against the ceiling, but at the same time, I'm releasing everything underneath as though it was hanging from that point, okay? The back of the head, okay, right at the base of the skull, is called the jade pillow. And the jade pillow needs to be open, meaning I can't have my head like this, which is actually a very normal posture for human beings. Okay, this posture, you should be able to see me here. This posture is very, very normal, and we're still working on learning to straighten up with this whole bipedal thing. Da Jue. Da Jue is the big bone in the back. This is like the C7 vertebrae, okay? So this is the big bone when you reach behind your neck at the base of your neck, top of your body. There's a big bone there, Da Jue. Now, Da Jue needs to be sort of pulled backwards. So far, I'm pulling up with Bai Hui, opening the jade pillow, right? And pulling Da Jue backwards. So now my spine in the very top, and the cervical spine, should be fairly straight. The next big point is Mingmen. Mingmen's between the kidneys, okay? And it's in the natural arch of the back. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to pull gently on Mingmen from behind, meaning that the back is no longer really heavily arched. You're kind of settling into a nice straight line. Now, it's not going to be totally straight, but straighter than it was, okay? From Mingmen, we go down again, and we kind of have the tailbone or Huiyin. Huiyin is the perineum. The tailbone is kind of a better, I think, visual for people to understand, though. The tailbone should point downwards rather than backwards. And when we have a real arch in our back, if my back is very, very heavily arched, my tailbone sort of points back. It points at the ground still, but back. But if I tuck my pelvis very slightly, it'll point downwards, okay? And that downwards pointing, okay, gives us a line from the tailbone all the way to Bai Hui. If you pull downwards with the tailbone, and this is something that takes time, but downwards with the tailbone and upwards with Bai Hui, you can actually kind of put the spine into traction. And that's extremely good for you. It opens up all of the spinal processes. It opens up the pumping of cerebral spinal fluid. It's really good for you, okay? And what it does in a seated posture, or a standing posture, is it lets the muscularity of the body relax so that the skeletal system can take the brunt of the force of gravity. That's the big deal here. So when I'm sitting to meditate, I don't want to be slouched over or cockeyed off to one side, because what this means is that a bunch of my muscularity is holding me in place, because otherwise I'd be in a puddle on the floor, right? Instead, if I can get all of these postures aligned, when I release more and more muscularity, then I'm going to feel almost like the spinal column is like a pillar of bone, okay? And it starts to support my weight with less and less muscular contraction. And that just takes time. Eventually, you'll be able to sit very, very relaxed, okay, in this manner. Now, as far as the seated posture goes, which is normally how people meditate, myself included, there should be 3 points of contact. 4, depending on how you look at it. So when you're sitting, I have a meditation pillow. What you want to do is you want to have your buttocks off the ground. There's a couple of reasons for this. From a postural standpoint, you want to have your tailbone and your ischial bones, your sitting bones, up off of the floor so that a little bit of the weight, when you cross your legs, if you're sitting cross-legged or if you're sitting in seiza with the legs underneath you, a little bit of that weight gets transferred forward. And then equal amounts of weight on the left and right legs. Okay? If you're in seiza, it's on the knees or the shin bones, and if you're sitting in a lotus or half lotus position or a crossed leg position, then it's going to be on the knees, okay, or on the outsides, bottoms of the knees. You want it to be very equal though, okay? So if I'm sitting, I normally meditate with 1 foot in half lotus, but if I'm sitting, I want to be able to feel an equality in all of those points. So if I feel like I have nothing on my legs, I'm actually leaning backwards too much. And that means that there's muscularity in my body holding me up. If I'm too far to the right or the left, I should be able to tell as well. What you're looking for is those 3 big points of contact to equal out. So you're creating like a big archway. And you sit on the top of this arch and try to release as much muscularity as you can. That way, the skeletal structure takes the force of gravity. And what that does, this is the most important part of all of that, is that it takes away a lot of the numbness, pain, muscle contraction that you don't want to have, any kind of sensation that the body may start giving you that'll distract your mind from what it is you're up to. A big part of why people do sitting meditation is to get the body out of the way so that the internal work, the mental work, the spiritual work can be done without distraction, okay? It's very important. This is why posture is such a big deal. And a lot of people I don't think, make the connection between the two, that posture is as important as the mental training. The body and mind aren't different, right? They're not 2 different things. So you have to have everything under control. Now, the same posture is used when standing. The same posture is used when walking. And of course, laying down meditation has its kind of own vibe to it. But very few people even do that one outside of monasteries. So you want to make sure that your posture is correct. All of the spinal alignments are in place. Shoulders are down. A lot of the muscularity is released. And then you begin whatever type of meditation you're doing. So if I'm doing the very first one, I'll put my hands somewhere in my lap. We'll talk about mudra type stuff later. And begin my silent recitation and my focal point. And try to do my 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it is you're doing.